next time you see a Black Lives Matter march, if there are 1,000 people in the march, and let's say of the 1,000 people, 800 of them are Hamite, black, Negro, colored people, right? You can be well assured that at least 720 of the 800 people that are marching grew up without a father. They're black people. Girls or boys, it doesn't matter, that they grew up without a father. And if some did grow up with fathers, you can be well assured that some of the older ones, especially the black men in the Black Lives Matter march, black men out there with their dreads and their weaves, you can be well assured that they got children somewhere that they ain't taking care of. You can also be pretty well assured that of the black women that are marching in the Black Lives Matter, the young girls, have experienced either discussion about an abortion of a black baby or have aborted a black baby. Now, what I'm trying to point out to you, that black lives don't matter to the people that are marching in the line. They don't care about, their fathers didn't care enough about them to raise them and feed them and take care of them and comfort them, put a roof over their heads, help them with their schoolwork. Those Black Lives Matter, black people marching, their fathers didn't think that their lives mattered. And many of them are following in the same tradition who don't think that other black lives matter. But here, let's just talk about this past Father's Day, year 2020, in Chicago, Illinois, the home of Barack Hussein, the long-legged Mac Daddy Obama, Oprah Winfrey, Louis Farrakhan, Jesse Jackson, Michael Jordan, and a bunch of other people. In Chicago, here's how they celebrate here's how they celebrate Father's Day. Here's how black men celebrate Father's Day in Chicago this past Sunday. 104 black people were shot by other black people. Now, you can't make this up. And of the 5 of them were children. What? 14 people were killed, including a 3-year-old boy and a 13-year-old girl killed in separate shootings on Black Lives. This is how black men celebrate Father's Day in Chicago and every place else as well. Chicago in particular. Since Obama has the potential to become president again through the coattails of Joe Biden, God's back at it again. But this is how black people celebrate Father's Day, right? You would have thought it'd been a lot of picnics, and fathers with their daughters and sons, everybody having a good meal, and everybody settling down, and one thing after the other. No, 104 people shot in one day on Father's Day in black Chicago with black people shooting one another. The Black Lives Matter. No, they don't. By the way, why haven't we seen any marches in Chicago for the 3-year-old and the 13-year-old that were killed? Don't those lives matter? I mean, why haven't they marched out? Why haven't they gone out there to Chicago and held a march throughout the streets of the violent fathers and black fathers of Chicago? Don't those lives matter? Hell no. Don't matter the Black Lives Matter people marching in the street, nor the white sympathizers that march with them, nor the Color News Network, CNN, that covers the story. It don't matter. It's just black people being their general quintessential black selves, killing one another because black lives don't matter to black people. Okay, I've been doing a lot of loud talking of late. And you know, when I get excited and I want to be emphatic, I tend to raise my voice. You don't mind. I'm a trained preacher. I'm almost a trained hooper. I decide not to hoop. You know what a hoop is, and a preacher does a hoop. Anyway, so This little girl that was killed out there in Chicago on Father's Day weekend, have you heard the Black Lives Matter transvestite leadership group saying, we must go to Chicago. We must go to Chicago and protest this killing. Have you heard them say that? No! You're not going to hear them say it. You say, well, I thought Black Lives Matter. Wait a minute, are you marginalizing? Are you saying Black Lives Matter circumstantially? Or are you saying Black Lives Matter universally? Or are you saying Black Lives Matter when you choose? Or are you saying Black Lives Matter when they run into white folk? What is it? It's not a totality statement. It's not a statement of totality. It's not a universal statement. It's not a ubiquitous statement. That not every Black Lives Matter. So is it clear now from the fact that 1 of the 4 people celebrated Father's Day by getting shot? Black people got celebrated Father's Day by black fathers who were the most despicable people on planet Earth. That Black Lives Matter is not a ubiquitous Black lives concern. Okay. All right. Well, let's be clear about what we can be clear about. I mean, all right. Okay. I can jiggle with that. That, they just don't worth a march. Well, maybe it isn't just that, but maybe it's the news won't cover you if you do go out there and march against the killing of a 3-year-old black girl. The news don't give a damn about that. The Color News Network don't care anything about that. The news ain't gonna cover it. Washington Post not gonna cover it. Nobody else gonna cover it as well. And you like coverage. You're not going anywhere if you don't bring the cameras. If the cameras don't come, you're not going. So, maybe that's what we're looking at here. I don't know. But I'm not confused. I mean, I'm never confused. But I can tell you something. We got a serious issue going on in the Hamite, the Hamites are people that are special people of God, but black people are in deep trouble. And somebody need to stand up and tell them. I preached a message this past Sabbath that it's time to blame the victim. It's time to stop letting the victim do whatever, kill each other, maim each other, rob each other, desert each other, and yet they get pampered. Murderers, killers, thugs, hoodlums, the worst sorts of people get pampered for being their natural selves. No, this Black Lives Matter item is a lie. And I'm still suggesting that there ought to be legislation in Congress, somebody ought to pass a bill that there will be a methods placed within the tax structure system and the federal system of tax monies going to the various cities, that no money shall go to feed children that have been, black children that have been deserted by their fathers. That taxpayers have the right to revolt and to withhold any taxes to the federal government and to their city and state governments if the monies that they're using paying as taxes is going to take the responsibility of feeding and housing and clothing black children who have been deserted by their father. Now, let's say that their father died in the military and, well, their children are entitled. Let's say he was a police officer and got shot as a police officer. Well, the children are entitled. Well, let's say he died, he was a hard worker and he died from asbestos or something else. He was working on World Trade Center here in New York City, and he left his children and his wife fatherless. Well, the taxpayer ought to help take care of those children. But let's just say he's a typical black man listening to Jay-Z and lusting for Beyonce and running from woman to woman, making babies everywhere he go, watching Tyler Perry, and ain't taking care, ain't paying nothing. In fact, when he goes to see, these women, black women, he asks her for money. And he asks her, he calls up, did you get your check yet? Did you get your welfare check? He wants part of the money. Now listen to me very carefully. He wants part of the money that she gets from the welfare system to feed the children. He wants some of it. He'll go come and ask her for some. And, he'll sex her up so he can get the money that ought to be going to feed the children. He wants some of it, and she gives it to him. She gives it to him. And the media and the churches and the institutions of politicians of black people have become so corrupt that the black woman don't have any strength either. I'm hard on the black man, but I got to know this black, she ain't got no strength either. She'll let this low life, she'll take her last money, she'll even take the children's money and give it to him. She'll take the children's money, hell, she'll take the church's money and give it to him. And buy him cars, right? Clothes. And yet the children are suffering. We're talking about Black Lives Matter where? And I've been on the black fathers, and I'm going to stay on them for a while. But I can tell you something. Man, these black women. So I'm saying, listen, everybody. I don't know how much longer this government's going to last, but somebody ought to introduce a bill to make sure that there are checks and balances put on the federal monies that are sent to states, and there's checks and balances put on money that the states allocate to the cities, and there's checks and balances put on money of people who get government support, government housing. You shouldn't be able to live in government housing. Children don't have, their fathers don't take care of them. You say, someone said to me the other day, well, if that's happening, black women are going to start having more abortions. Is that the way you look at it? And what he's saying, that's what they should just abort the children rather than have the children abort them. Is that? How about not having any at all? And how about making sure that if you're going to have any dealing with any man, it needs to be a man that's going to take care of your children. Because oftentimes these women let these men get away with that nonsense. Talking about they in love and they lonely. I'm lonely. So that needs to be legislation that puts checks and balances on this mess that's going on. As long as because the black man, he ain't gonna stand up. He ain't gonna do. And by the way, we're not just talking about homeless men. We're talking about lawyers in fancy law offices. We're talking about black men that are passing for white because they work on Wall Street, or they work in entertainment, or they're sports, they're athletes, or they got good jobs, or they work for the Popo, they work for the Transit Authority, they got government jobs. That's what we're talking about. We ain't just talking about somebody who's unemployed. No, sir. We're talking about the general consensus of the mythology and the psychology of the black fathers in the world today. And that's why you got all these crazy children out there marching in the street, Black Lives Matter. This is a bit of a news blog we do, looking at spiritual wickedness in high places for the most part, making some observations about it and giving people a biblical foundation to the way of interpreting, rather than have Sean Hannity or Laura Ingram or Janine Pirro or Anderson Cooper or Rachel Maddow or Don Lemon, Rush Limbaugh interpret what's going on in the world. You come to me and I'll tell you based on what the Word of God says. They'll just give you their worldly, sinful view. But the Manning Report will tell you what God has said, whether to say yea or nay, whether to go or to stay. You'll be led by the word of Almighty God. Come to the Manning Report on a daily basis to interpret the spiritual wickedness in high places, because there's plenty of it that's going on. And so I'm the Lord's servant, James David Righteous Rebel Manning, and I'm here to serve you with news and information.